Hello, and welcome to the AfroCentric Woman. Um, please do like the video as you come in. I'm trying to change this banner, but it's not letting me. Let me see if I can. Oh, let's do it like that. Okay. Yeah, please like the video as you come in. I was just thinking today about I still don't like this banner. I can't get the banner quite the way I want it. Let me try this. That's closer to what I wanted, but not quite what I wanted. But okay, we'll try this. Um, I was just thinking. I woke up to stress about, and like even yesterday, I was a little bit bummed out because I really just wanted him to pick up the car and like do everything for the car. But he worked all day yesterday, like literally. And I talked to him again like later on last night. So really, just it wasn't going to be feasible for him to deal with it. And honestly, I would prefer him to go out and work and make money. So, but it's like even whatever it needs, go ahead. And I know I have the ability to do that because whatever is needed, he's going to take care of it. So I really don't have to stress out about, well, let me get half of it this month and the other half next month. And, like skimping out on stuff that I know I need, and it's not stressful at all. And then afterwards, he was like, so did you get it taken care of? Was it a lot? I was like, well, is this amount a lot? He's like, no, not really. And then, like, whatever I need, whenever I get something, so he makes all the arrangements, he makes reservations, he buys tickets, he figures out the time frame about like when things need to be done. Um, all of that. And I was just thinking like this is what I was trying to do before, but I could never do it. I could never make it work. Able to do it before. I think I might have told y'all, there was once, and I'm just thinking, like, I owe so many people like apologies or something. I don't know because like that when I entered into next level blackmail worshiping, there were women that reached out to me. I was in a leadership group with an older mixed Latino woman and an Afro Latino woman, and we had mixed like just various various women in this group, and like they all reached out to me like, "What's wrong with you? We feel like we're losing you." you know, they talk. They talk. They talk to addicts. They're like, "We feel like we're losing you." But yeah, they were losing me to blackmail worship. They were losing me to blackmail worship because when I got with this guy, he was encouraging me to isolate myself from non-black people, right? And like my friends or coworkers and associates and stuff that I had, he would be like, "You're not, for the movement. You're not black enough if you are associating yourself with these people." And now that I'm kind of looking back, um, I think part of the the reason why they definitely want to isolate you from other people is they definitely don't want to be compared to other men. So they don't want you being friends with, women whose men are doing stuff for them because then you have something to compare them to. So if you're only entrenched in poverty struggle, you don't know better. It's an abusive tactic, um, to isolate you from friends and family. So that was happening, and people were reaching out to me, and I was just so absorbed in it. And I think that the subconscious choice behind what it happens is I think that I was on this train of doing whatever I need to do to make my relationship work. And I think that a lot of Black women think that way when it comes to Black men. They think, I will do whatever I have to do. Black women just kind of have that attitude in general about a lot of things, like whatever it takes to get this job, whatever it takes to get this education, whatever it takes to get this particular resource, whatever it takes. Like Black women are very gritty, resourceful, flexible, adaptive, um, strivers. And so when that attitude is applied to a relationship, it's definitely not helpful, right? That's not a helpful energy to have around a relationship because you can really sacrifice a lot of things, and it's kind of the opposite of the feminine aspect within the relationship. If the Black woman is doing all these things to make it work, and not being and receiving, but doing and giving, the dynamics will be way off, and you could definitely end up in a very bad situation. And oftentimes we do. So before I met this guy, I had really immersed myself into holistic healing and had made a lot of strides as far as physical health was concerned. I'd really gotten into horticulture and gardening and co-ops and um you know just a lot of things. I really invested a lot of time in homemaking and decorating and dancing, and I was just really in a very, what I felt, very feminine zen place of my life. And it definitely took some time. I really unplugged a lot from so much career, and achievement, which, I was doing okay in that area, but I just really invested in like myself, my wellness, my femininity, my spirituality, my home, um, and growing things and stuff like that. And I felt really feminine and just really divine, like I was just floating around. And then I met this guy, and I remember him saying one time, he was like, "You never call me." I was like, "Yeah, I under what I was like, well, I mean, I didn't tell him, but I thought, well, my understanding is that women shouldn't chase men, so I really shouldn't be calling you all the time." I didn't say that, but this was my endeavors to be feminine. So no, I wasn't calling him, I wasn't making dates, I wasn't doing. I was more being, and he was extremely uncomfortable with that. And so he's like, "You never," and he just kept complaining about it for a while. So I was like, "Okay, I'll call you every now and then, sure." And I'm like, "Well, I always answer the phone when you call." And he's like, "Yeah, but I want you to call. Why don't you call? What's going on?" And that kind of a thing. So I started to call more. And I felt so uncomfortable with that. And then he's like, "Well, call me at work." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you should call." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I started doing that. And it just, you know, he ended up, I don't know, maybe this is like low key a story time, but there was a lot of things dysfunctional about that. And now that I'm looking back, he used to always talk really negatively about his mother. And he didn't like his mother. His parents were still married. This was a black man. His parents were still married, but he did not like his mother. And I never understood why. And I'm like, "Well, why don't you like your mom? Like, what's the issue?" And he was like, "Well, she's too domineering." And I was like, "Okay, but your dad, he's still married to her, so what? So he must like it." He's like, "Yeah, my dad's too passive." I'm like, "Okay." Well, do you think that that's your dad's issue? No, it's her. She dominates him. She's overbearing. That's the reason why he is the way he is. My pop's this, and he just loved his dad and he hated his mom. And that should have, me in hindsight, that should have been a red flag to run away. But I was in my 20s and pretty stupid, and I didn't know any better. But yeah, this guy really had a very, like, he had a disdain for his mother. I think his mom was light skinned and his dad was dark skinned, and he hated the fact that he was light skinned. He was light skinned with light eyes and like light brown hair, and he hated that. And I guess, as a man, maybe that's more difficult, growing up in the black community when you have that kind of phenotype. Um, I don't know, but maybe that's why he disliked his mom because he wish he was dark skinned or something. But anyway, I got pulled into such a bad space. One time he came to my house, and actually I think this was twice, but it's one time I can remember. There used to be this like vegan food store, and you know, he pretty much like stopped planning dates very early on and was just juggling probably too many women and all number of bullshit. And one time he wanted to come over, and this vegan place was near where I was living at the time. And he's like, "Well, I'm at this vegan place." And I was like, "Okay." We had been there a couple of times together, so he already knew like what I liked from the restaurant. So he's like, "And I'm gonna come over there afterwards." I was like, "Okay, great." So he shows up to my place with one meal for himself. He's an engineer, so he's a good black man, right? The good black man that you're supposed to choose. And he shows up to my place with one plate of food for himself, sits down at my table, and commences to eat the food. And I'm just looking at him like, you know, I'm getting enraged. I'm getting enraged because, like, who the F are you to come to my house with food for yourself? Like, it's just so gross. And you don't see anything wrong with it. And like, I confronted him about it, and then he ended up yelling at me. Now, I didn't know at the time that these males lack so much accountability. They can never just apologize for making a mistake and fixing the problem. If you ever, within a relationship with them, call them out on stuff, they just become angry birds and yell at you, and it's your fault, and they just never can take any accountability. And I just remember feeling so gross because, like, I was just completely pulled out of my zen place. I was doing fine in the day before you started interacting with me. Before you before you brought this energy to my doorstep and to my table, I was doing just fine. And it was like the longer this so-called relationship progressed, the more I was pulled out of femininity and feeling um all kinds of things like unsure, unstable, insecure, right? Because when you're with a man that a man should be a stabilizing force in your life. A man should be adding additional security to what you already have. It shouldn't he shouldn't be making you unsure of yourself or unsure of the situation. You know, they will always make it very clear exactly where you are and how they feel about you, and they make it very clear that they are like what they're doing to make your life easier, better, and they think about the things that you need. And I don't know any quality man that would ever show up to a woman's home with something to eat for himself. But that's the inherent like selfishness. This isn't the first man that's done that. It's been two other guys that have done that as well. One of them, it was just a Subway sandwich, but it's the principle of it. Like, you couldn't even buy me a $5 Subway sandwich, and, like, you don't and I remember that when he was renting a room somewhere. So it's like, you don't even have a table yourself. You're at my table, and you have brought a $5 Subway sandwich for yourself, but you didn't bring me one, a black man. And this is not an American black man, this is a non-American black man. And there's been other like non-American black men that I've dealt with who've done the same thing. And then that one was the one I was originally telling was an American black guy. So, you know, now looking back and just sort of analyzing the trajectory of everything, I think that I was really trying to do what I'm doing now sooner, earlier in my life, but just couldn't figure out why do I keep getting sucked back into a state of role reversal? How do I keep getting sucked back into time wasting? How do I keep getting sucked into incompetent men who don't add to my security but actually become a liability for me? How do I get into the situation where a man is literally bringing nothing to the table for me, but using my table to feed himself? Wow. Wow. What a freaking bomb dropper. What a freaking light bulb to go off, you know, wasting so much time. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's, yeah, sure, time wasted, lesson learned, a combination of the two, but, you know, really limiting, limiting yourself to one group of people that keep on giving you the same outcome over and over and over again, not realizing that that's the issue. Like the things that you're trying to do with the femininity and the dancing and the, being positive and the affirmations and the self work and the self healing and the homemaking and gardening and taking care of children and all these things that you want to do, all the things that you desire to do. But you have to find a man that's going to protect that. You have to find a man that will cherish what that beauty and have a desire to add to what you're doing, give you things, cultivate the garden, put stuff in there so that it can flourish, and not someone who's going to bring their trash bag and their banditry and extract, take someone who's secure and then make them insecure. Because I do remember feeling that way, feeling like these males are attracted to me because I have a high self esteem and I'm very sure of myself. I know I'm beautiful. I know I've got a great body. I know I'm smart. I know all these things. And that's the initial attraction. But then once you get it, you have to try to tear me down. You have to try to create doubt in me. You have to try to, um, you know, make me feel a different way about myself, knock me off my pedestal. You're uncomfortable with my view of myself on a pedestal. You feel like you need to knock me off so that I can be manageable. Because it's like you want the beauty, you want the brains, you want someone who's clearly clearly a hot commodity, clearly. any man would be like, I would love to have that be my partner, but they're so insecure and damaged that they cannot relate with you in the state of elevation. They can only relate to you in a state of subjugation, and it's like I'm just continuing to have these flashbacks and reminders and understanding, you know, what was the holdup, and like now it all makes sense. Because I do think that Black women want to look at themselves and say, "What did I do wrong? Why did my relationships fail?" Black women are extremely accountable. They're even accountable for other people's bull stuff that's not even theirs. They will literally own someone else's mistakes and someone else's problems in the search of being accountable so that they can fix it. They just want to get it right, especially when it comes to love and all of that. But what if what I was doing was just fine? What if what I was doing was the right thing? What if what I was doing was being a good partner, a good supportive partner? What if what I was doing was being a solid person and investing into myself, but I kept dealing in dust? Even like I've dealt with attorney dust, I've dealt with engineer dust, um, all kinds, defense contractor dust, So that's the issue. And it's like now that I just feeling everything that I've desired to feel for a long time. And I realize like how easy it is. I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay. Okay, now I get it. Okay. Now it's kind of starting to sink in, really and truly, what the issue is. So the great thing about I think sharing this information and sharing this message is hopefully other women won't have to go through those grow like I guess wasting so much time when they could be getting the life that they want from another source. You're not beholden to anyone but yourself. Oh, okay. Hello. No, thank you so much. Y'all inspire me too. I added some reparenting videos to my How to Heal playlist for girls like you. Oh, that's beautiful. There was one sister, what's her name? New Mind Frame, NU Mind Frame. And hold on, y'all. Okay, okay, great. Yeah, Sissy, she has some really good videos on reparenting. She also has some good videos on attachment style, that I really like. So yeah, yeah. She's a good resource to kind of point Black women, I think, in the direction to start looking at those issues of reparenting and attachment style. And she can definitely share her experience. And I think also like having narcissistic parents and then ending up getting into various narcissistic relationships. The only thing about her and women like her is I just caution the spiritual stuff. She strikes me as someone who's very like sort of in tuned. And so when you put yourself out there to like start dealing with other people's spiritual stuff, it can really negatively affect you. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're strengthening yourself. Coming out of narcissistic abuse, and like dealing with childhood trauma, there's so much internal work to be done. And so you're kind of like healing these old wounds. And then when you put yourself out there to like do spiritual readings for other people and dealing with other people's tarot cards and future and all, it just puts you in a real vulnerable state to like literally have meltdowns and breakdowns and setbacks, and there's other energy getting attached onto you. Because I knew another woman like that, like in real life, like in real life, I literally like remember her first getting involved with cards, and it was like she had a bunch of stuff going on. And then literally within less than a year, she was like master teacher. She was like, I'm master teacher so and so. And she was doing readings and all this. And I was like, girl, like I literally just talked to you about cards less than a year ago. The thing about a lot of these spiritual practices is that, in the ancient times, there was a rite of passage. There were apprenticeships that you needed to do. You had to have a certain bloodline to even be ordained to step into certain, spiritual teachings. Um, there was a lot of reverence for the magnitude of a lot of things that were going on, understanding like when you dibble and dabble, and especially for those who like try to put spells on people and things like that, you open yourself up to a lot. And to just read an online ebook and buy some tarot cards and then just throw yourself out there as that, I'm like, I'm really cautious about that. And I think that if you're going to do anything like that, do it for yourself. Do it for yourself, like for years. I don't even think that young women even need to be putting themselves out like that. If you look in the ancient times, most of the women doing the readings and holding the like shrines of the community and being over the rites of passage and different spiritual rites in the community, these women were already in the crone phase of life, right? So they'd already lived through most of the life cycles, and they weren't maidens, okay? They weren't maidens doing this work, doing that kind of work. So I've seen it negatively affect Black women getting involved with putting themselves out there, skipping the order of things and jumping into those kind of readings, because I know she had a breakdown. It's online. I mean, I'm not disclosing anything that's not public information. She disclosed that she had a breakdown, and I really do think it had a lot to do with dealing with too many people's energy. And especially when you are in a fragile state yourself, you really have to just focus on yourself and make sure that you are spiritually protected and that you are shored up, um, and do that for years and years and years and years and years and years. And then maybe you can step out there to providing spiritual services for others, but maybe you don't. You know what I mean? Like women are just certifying themselves as these spiritual people. Like they're just, taking a course online and putting themselves out there. And it gets real. It gets real, it gets real, it gets real. So the woman that I knew in real life, shortly after she started putting herself out there as this guru doing readings and tarot and stuff like that, like her life literally crumbled apart. Literally. Lost her child to a narcissistic ex, lost her place, lost her job, just everything went downhill real fast. And I just think, I mean, I just had this intuitive feeling when she started doing it, like, no, 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 don't do this. And I told her, but she didn't want to listen. Some people have to just kind of go through their own process. But I did tell her that I didn't think that she should do that. She was in this other career that I was helping her with. I was like, why don't you just focus on that, part thing, and then don't do that part. But she really wanted to do it. And then within a year after doing all that, everything crumbled apart. So, yeah, this is just a cautionary tale. Just a cautionary tale. But aside from all of that, I do love her content on reparenting and what do you call it? The attachment styles. She has a made amazing contact for when your parents ain't it. She has an amazing contact for when your parents ain't it. You need balance between spiritual and the material. I agree. Focus on you. Heal until your energy as much is less porous before you heal others, because you can connect to spirit. You can connect spirit to spirit, and not every spirit is good. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes those people's energy can just tack on to you, especially when you're trying to excise stuff from people's lives. And those spirits, if they don't have anywhere to go and you're not strong enough to bind them, they can attach onto your life and onto you and just wreak havoc on you. And so I think it takes a lot of strength and a lot of spiritual work to do that kind of work. And I just think that some women jump into it prematurely and naively, not quite knowing what all they're dabbling in. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it gets real. It gets really real. It gets really, really, really real when you are dabbling in that stuff type of stuff. And I've seen so many women in that realm have breakdowns, and then you're like, well, what part of this is psychological and what part of this is spiritual? Or is it just a mix between the two? Don't let dirty bums jump in your bathtub. Right? Girl. Yeah. I'm trying to like not I'm still attempting not to be one of those people that get on your nerve talking about how happy they are in a relationship. I despise those people. They really get on my nerve. And I don't want to get on my own nerves, and I don't want to get on y'all's nerves. I don't want to get on y'all's nerves either. But low key, I'm like really happy. Low key, high key. I am happy. Wanna Okay. Oh, okay. I'll jump on the Discord and answer that question. Because I don't know if are you live? Who just sent me a message on the Discord? Because you sent me a message on Discord. I don't know if you want me to answer it on YouTube or just answer it inside the Discord. Let me know. Oh, as long as it's not performative. Ah, okay. No, it feels very authentic. Like I'm legit, authentically happy. I'm legit just feeling at peace and don't really have anything to complain about. I don't have any, I don't know. I don't have any issues. Well, some of the stuff that kind of came up was just, I think, okay, there's a couple of things. One is emotional fluctuations and kind of like, how do you handle those in a mature way to where, I just handle it really different now as opposed to before. And I think a lot of that is maturity, just being able to sit with emotions and observing them, because you know that they ebb and they flow, because sometimes, when you move to a different stage of your relationship, you could feel internal things that really don't have anything to do with your partner but have everything to do with you, your past experiences, and then also going into the unknown and then dealing with it. you know Maybe before I would have like been a little more clingy and calling and, insecure about things, but like handling them in a different way. And then another feeling is that still to this day, I feel like I'm single until I'm married, no matter no matter what the status is with someone I'm dating. I feel that I prefer to be single until I'm married. So I can still do whatever I want. And okay, true. And then, but it's just hard because the situation is so comfortable and easy to where I'm very um standoffish. I'm not standoffish. I just have a low tolerance for men who offer me less. You know, if a man is offering me less than what he offers, then I'm not interested. So this is fascinating, you know. So that's fascinating, and that's kind of where I'm at. And then another interesting thing that I am exploring, which is new, is like when you have an established rapport, you have an established ongoing relationship with someone, still being interesting, still being alluring, and still having him chase you, you know? I'm so glad holidays can be stressful, so it's good to see Black women thriving. Hey, ooh, ooh. Yeah, that's been an interesting thing. It's like just like still getting chased. And what I'm learning is the key to being pursued is to continue to relax and be feminine because when you do that, they have to initiate and they have to pursue, they have to get it going and like having a bunch of things going on, legitimate things going on in your life, then they do know that it just brings interest to the relationship because you just have things going on, you have your own life. And so they have to kind of vie for your time and attention, which I think for a man who's masculine, there's a certain level of fulfillment with that. You know, you're not just like always just available, running around, hounding them down or anything like that. So I don't know that yeah, no, I've never gotten to that place with someone consistently because like even guys that I've dated for a while, it's like we maybe date and then like I might not see them for like a month or two, but they're just around in the background somewhere and then they get resurrected every so often. And so it's like it's more casual, right? At that point in time. It's not anything that you're actually establishing there. It's just kind of we go out from time to time. You look pretty, and I like to take you out, that kind of a thing. But it's not moving forward. It's not moving towards anything, or you know what I mean. So, um, yeah, it's pretty new to be in an ongoing relationship and uh just experiencing new levels and like staying feminine and still being pursued, which is like I genuinely like that. So I genuinely don't want that to fade. I like that actually. So yeah, the femininity I always desired. You know, had I known sooner, I would have been doing it a lot sooner than now. But you know, you live and you learn. All right, y'all. I'm about to do my nails because I might be going out later. We'll see. I don't know. It's a Sunday, so we'll see. I hope that y'all have a fabulous day and I hope to see you soon. Talk to you soon. Bye.